Welcome to the Properties to Profit podcast. I'm Michael, your host. Excited to share with you my journey from a six-figure job to building a successful real estate business. Each episode will explore various aspects of real estate investing, from wholesaling and flipping to managing rentals. I'll share the lessons and insights I've gained, aiming to help you avoid mistakes and achieve your financial goals. Expect guest experts, valuable tips, and practical advice to guide you on your own real estate journey. Thank you for tuning in. If you find any value in this podcast, please subscribe, share, and follow me on social media. Let's turn properties into profits together.
Hey guys, Michael here with Properties to Profits. And today I'm gonna walk you through how I used real estate to buy my first new car. And man, it was a fun one. And I bought all of these doors off the MLS, right? So I didn't even use discounted methods that I use now today in my real estate. And I wanna walk you through how I bought houses non-discounted and was able to use them to buy my dream cars in due time. And want to walk you through those methods may not work the same as what they used to work. And so today we're going to talk about a property here on 249 Shepherd Ave here in Columbus, Ohio. It's actually in Plain City. It's a suburb of Columbus, Ohio. And so what this property really looked like, it was, I believe, 2018-ish timeframe. A realtor of mine hit me up, "Hey, Mike, I know you've been thinking about getting into real estate. Man, I saw this duplex that I wanted to give you a rundown by." And so he called me up on it. The guy was wanting to sell. He had tenants paying. And if I remember correctly, those tenants at the time were paying about $1,200. They had originally listed this property for, I believe, 139 or 149. If you guys just Google it, 249 Shepherd Ave, and go through the Zillow listing, you'll find all this there. And through some negotiations, I threw out a price of $110,000 is where I wanted to be. And you ask, how did I come up with that $110,000? Well, I really wanted the 1% from the day one. So I wanted rent per month to be 1% of the purchase price. And so I was thinking that this person may want to negotiate a little bit. So we offered 110, thinking, hey, we'll settle at 120. Well, guys, in real estate, sometimes when you throw out an offer, they take your first offer. And that's what happened here. This gentleman who was selling this property was tired of the property, and he really just wanted to move on from it. He was moving down to Kentucky. Clifford was his name. Great guy. So Clifford and his agent got back to my agent, said, "Hey, we'll take the 110." And I was buying this conventional, right? This is all I knew at that time. I didn't know what I didn't know. So I went with US Bank is who I used. I think at the time the rate was around 5%, maybe 4.9. Nonetheless, a pretty good rate, right? And so I was going to do okay, right? My monthly mortgage payment, I had to put 25% down, which for me wasn't an issue. I had a strong W-2 job, and I had just sold some of my landscaping equipment because I was getting out of my landscaping business at that time. What I did here is I had a mortgage, right? And guys, don't grade me on how I write. That's not what I'm good at here. But I had a mortgage payment. It was at 689, so we're gonna round up to $700 here. Um, that's $700, including taxes. You gotta think this is a $110,000 property, so taxes were like $1,800 a year, give or take, including insurance. Insurance rates hadn't increased what we've seen recently since COVID hit, and that includes principal and interest as well. So really good, right? And I told you, day one it was rented at $1,200. Dollars, right? So 1,200. So day one, I was netting $500 a month, right? Or $6,000 a year. That's day one. And so that's why I love this property, right? Now that net to me monthly doesn't include repairs and budgeting for those things, but we'll talk about repairs. Trust me, I got hit on repairs during this property. Just to give you an update, I believe the upstairs unit was rented for around like $600-700. It was a one bedroom, and down below was three. The upstairs unit was pretty good shape. Didn't need much even when I did turn that tenant. The bottom unit needed a lot, and we'll go through and talk about that as we go through here. Okay, guys? And the way it shook out, this was my first property here in Columbus, Ohio, right? And I'm very grateful for this first property. It was an older property. I believe it 1960 2007 or something like that. So well over 100-year-old property. And it taught me a lot of things to check for, right? During my inspection, I wanted to make sure electric was updated, plumbing was updated, all of those things. Want to make sure it didn't need any major repairs right away. And from what the looks of it, it didn't. Windows had been updated to vinyl. There was a deck that was looked kind of funky, the upstairs deck, and so but I could handle that myself. And then I knew a roof at some point was going to need replaced, and all of those things ended up did come to fruition. So you just want to budget and plan for those guys. So let's talk about the challenges that happen with this property, right? I'm into 3 years owning this, and the upstairs unit had turned over, but when that turned over, all it needed is carpet and paint, and it was pretty small. So I believe that was like less than 1,800 bucks, so nothing major. And then the other thing that came up was these deck steps that we kind of talked about, they were falling apart and just not secure anymore. You could tell that someone had just made these on a weekend and they didn't know what they were doing. So we went in and replaced those. And don't quote me on some of these things, but that porch steps, carpet, and everything like that, I believe it was just steps with a small like 5x5 landing. I believe all that came about to $4,000. So I'm gonna start to total these repair costs over here, 4K, right? And I'm gonna put purchase price over here, PP equals 110,000 here, guys. Just because I want to start documenting these numbers, and so you guys can see what this kind of looks like over time, right? So 110, and then a couple years in, I believe it was like right around 2020, the upstairs tenant moved out, and I had to put that 4K into it. No big deal. And once that tenant kind of moved out, and I had done those repairs, now we raised that top unit to 1,000. Um, and 1,000 bucks for that top unit. Remember, I only paid 110 for it. Now my top unit alone is almost meeting that 1% rule. And it only took me 4K to do that. So 4K, and I doubled my cash flow almost. I literally, that one was $600 and now it's 1,000. Now I'm at 900 bucks, but next year 4K, who wouldn't do that? Year one, I paid myself an additional 4,800 bucks on that property. So after putting 4K, I got back 4,800. That's huge, guys. And so now what happened is, we had raised rent on the bottom unit. It started at 600 bucks. And like I said, it wasn't nearly updated. So every year we do a rent increase. And then I believe it was 2021, and I'll drop some photos in there. Or if you check it online, I think you can see the updates on this one. Man, that one ended up needing a big update. The downstairs tenant had smoked in the property for over a decade, and so you can imagine those walls were yellowing and just didn't look great. We ended up spending almost $40,000 in that bottom unit, and it also ended up needing a new roof at that time. So I'm gonna add over $40,000 here. And so now now I'm into this property for about 155 or 100, yeah, 155 or so, guys. You can see it's a good thing I had a strong W-2 because I was able to handle those repairs. But the property at day one appraised for 120, so I wasn't really buying a big discount, right? That's not why I was buying this property. I had a good W-2 job, and I was taking my income to buy real estate because I knew over time, especially with interest rates at 5% below during this time, and they got a little bit better, as I'm sure some of us know during COVID times. I knew I was going to cash flow, and that's what mattered to me at that point. But I didn't know what I didn't know, right? And so that cash flow was great, because now the rehab, after the bottom unit was rehabbed, now that unit goes for $1,500 a month. So now I got $2,500. So it's no longer 12. Over here, we'll put $2,500, right? The great thing is my mortgage is still 700 bucks, right, guys? So now my cash flow is $1,800. And now I did have to sink some cash into it, don't get me wrong. And so we're not talking about return on investment here, but I have $1,800 of cash flow, and that's going to be pretty consistent. Plain City here in Columbus, Ohio, if you're not from here, is a pretty nice area. And I knew these tenants were going to move, and I knew if they did move, it was going to be okay as long as they didn't damage the house. And at this time, I had about 15-ish doors total. Now, my average, this one's $900 cash flow. They weren't all that great, but I was averaging over $400 a door. And I knew this one property I was like, man, I really wanted a new car. I had never bought a new car. I'm 26, 27 years old. I'd never owned a brand new car ever. And so I was like, how can I pay for this? And then I realized how much cash flow I was spreading off of these 15 units. And it was pretty consistent because when I bought these, I knew there was potential that things could go wrong, but I always budgeted for it, right? I always kept that cash in hand. And if I didn't for whatever reason, it's because I was buying another one and I knew the cash would be coming back through my W-2. And I always made sure I had a line of credit or something or credit cards that if this $40,000 repair budget did come up, I was able to afford it here, guys. That's the key, is sometimes when you're buying these older assets and you know something's going to happen, you run into problems if you don't have the means and a tenant moves out, does some damage. You want to make sure you have the means to make those repair costs, because otherwise you become a distressed seller and you're going to call my company Oasis Home Buyers and sell to me because you've run out of cash and you don't want that mortgage payment to hit where you can't afford it. And so what I did here is, man, at 1,800 bucks a month here, I'm like, man, this is great. I went and bought my first new car. And so you remember this is 2021, give or take. I bought a GT350R, manual car, a Shelby GT350R. I love cars. That was my first new car. And it was great because this property alone paid for that thing. You remember interest rates are all-time lows. My interest rate in that car was, I think I put $5,000 down. It was like 2.9, 1.9 maybe actually, 1.9 with Kemba Bank at the time, right? Well, that was so amazing because my car payment I think was 1275 all in on this thing. I was amazed that I could buy a amazing car and I was working my W-2 job and my real estate was paying for it. I was still making 600 bucks that I just used that to go into the bank, and when I get enough money saved up, I go buy another property. So you guys can see this math worked back in the day, right? And but here's where it gets really exciting is I was able to buy my another dream car, a 22 or a 2020 GT500. So it I like those two cars because there's only one other year, I think it was 67, that they had the 350 in the 500 for you car people. And so I wanted to have that too. And remember I told you I had 15, and you look at that, 15 times four, $400 a month. Like that's some serious cash flow coming in, right? And so I had the cash flow and I took out another car payment. That one was 15. So now my car payments are 27, but I'm bringing in about $30,000 a month at this point, right? Times are really good. Remember, we're in an interest rate environment where my interest rates on my properties were somewhere between 3.5 and 4.9 on the high end here. This is 2018 to COVID time. So really good shape here, okay? And so now from here, these vehicles really unlocked a lot for me. Like I'm passionate about these different engines and stuff like that. And so I always double down on this, right? And remember, I'm not buying these at deep discounts. But what I learned is it's not the cash flow. On this one, let's just say I averaged $1,000 a month on average. And so I owned this one for about 5 years before I sold it. So let's call that $60,000 net to me in cash flow. So I'm going to put this over here, 60K in cash flow, right? Um, and then the thing to think about is we have 44 in repair. So let me move this over here. Um, make this a little bit bigger. And so we had, this came about 44K in repairs, right? And like I said, it all worked out because I always had the cash in the bank, but not everyone did. So if you did 44 minus that 60, man, the cash flow isn't really that exciting, right? If you were just using the property. 44 minus, or 60 minus 44 is 16K. And over 5 years, that's really not that great, right, guys? So, I mean, we're talking a couple $100 a month. Really not that exciting. Like, does 200, $300 really change anyone's life? No, I would argue it doesn't. But let's go back to what I said I purchased the property for, right? So I purchased the properties for $110,000. And then I had about 45,000 in it for easy math there. And then what is that, 155 or 160? Yeah, 155. So I'm in this property for 155 here for about 5 years of ownership, 2018 till late 2023, I believe is when I sold this thing. This is where it gets really exciting, and this is what I love about real estate. And I told you how this property and a few others helped me buy my first new cars, my GT350R and my GT500. Well, the thing is, the property that helped me get my first car also got me my first exotic car, my first Lamborghini. It was a black Technica. So let's talk about that and how that happened. So guys, we're talking about how I was in this property for 155, but remember the repairs I paid with cash, right? And remember $110,000? I put 25% down on this property or so, so $110,000. Um, so my mortgage was only 82, and you got to remember I'd owned this for just over 5. My mortgage balance was $70,000 at the end. I think it was 72 and some change. And so when I went to sell this property here, I'm just pulling up some notes here. I had a I walked away. We sold this property for 280, right? So I'm in it for 155. Final sale price is 280. You can remember there's commissions and stuff like that. And so after paying off the mortgage and everything here, my final check to me was about $187,000. So I got a final check of $187,000, guys. And so when I sold this property, I had multiple offers. I think it went to contract and then fell out, and then someone else bought it again. Um, and I saw that we were going to list this thing for around 275. I think it went over. And I had paid 110. I was in this thing for 155. I'm in it for 155, 280. That had almost doubled over 5 years, right? And I know we had the COVID and all that stuff that really probably helped me out there a little bit. But that's what I realized, the true value in real estate isn't the cash flow. Especially at this time, it's 2024 or early 25, I don't remember exactly. Interest rates are on commercial loans are now 7%, not 5% and below. And new stuff's not cash flowing, right? Not significantly anyway. It's going to take 18 to 20 properties to spit off $2,000 in cash flow right now, or doors, I should say. And so, but this is what makes it all worth it, is getting this check at the end after you pay that down. Now, I had to pay myself back this 45, and so it was about $132,000, give or take. Well, want to know what I did with that money? I took that money and I had $87,000 cash. I used that money to go buy 4 more properties, right? And now I'm buying discounted properties. Remember, this wasn't a discount. This was on the MLS. And so I bought 4 more properties because now I've learned that if I just hold them 5 years, they're going to appreciate significantly. And now I don't tell people they're going to double every 5 years like this one did almost, but I bet every 10 years they double, right? And so I took that 87 and bought 4 more properties, and I was able to buy them at discounts. And you guys can see how much, like this one appraised at 120. So I guess I did get a 10% discount on this thing from the MLS. So if you could buy properties at 10% discount based on current values, can you imagine how impactful that would be for you and your future and your finances? So I tell people, you don't need the big discounts. If you're someone who has income, use that income to buy the asset. And then when the asset starts paying off, or you've held it for 5 years, whatever you want to do there, then use that asset to buy the toys you want. Okay, guys? That's what I really want you to take away. And the sticker here is, guys, when I sold this and I took the 87 to buy 4 more properties, I have over $250,000 in equity in those 4 properties. And want to know what I did with this $100,000? You guys know I'm a car guy. Well, I got a Technica, right? I shopped around the country till I found one at MSRP. I found one at MSRP. And I wired the 100 grand to the dealer and I financed the rest. Want to know what pays for the rest of those payments? The cash flow from my other doors, guys. And so that's what's super powerful from this. And you hold these properties 5 to 6 years, you'll get substantial amount of equity. And want to know what? We haven't talked about the pay down, right? My original mortgage, I think, was 82,000. 5 years later, when I paid it off, it was 70. The tenants paid that down. We didn't talk about the tax benefits that I got. I virtually paid no taxes on this, right? Now, your tax situation could be a little bit different. And so, guys, I wanted to show you guys the power of this and how just buying one real estate deal a year, if it's worth 150, in 10 years, I bet that property is going to be worth 300 if you're buying in the right areas. You're buying in B minus or better neighborhoods, you'll probably be in good shape. Historically, real estate does double every 10 years. And I want you guys to see the power of this. So instead of taking that $25,000 and buying a new car, take that $25,000 and go buy a house that's worth about 140 and then hold on to it over time. Watch it go up, buy more of those, use that cash flow to pay for your car payments, and then watch the equity grow, watch your bank account go, and then you can start paying yourself 6-figure checks. Guys, if you have any interest in learning different ways of using real estate to power your dreams, whatever those are, it can be real estate, or I'm sorry, it can be cars, it can be nice real estate, right? Like we know the beach captains don't necessarily, the beach houses and the cabins, stuff like that, probably don't cash flow the way these do. But you could use that cash flow to go buy your dream house. You can use that cash flow to go buy, if you're a woman, into purses or jewelry. You can use it to do those things. Um, I use it for cars. Maybe you have a family that loves to travel. You can use it for those vacations. Whatever it is that you want to do, real estate, if you do it right, and here at Properties to Profits with our company Oasis Home Buyers, we can help you get into these. You can get in as a lender. We can partner together on deals, or we can just sell you a deal and you could do all this yourself. Whatever you prefer, shoot me a DM with what you're looking to do. Let's get you on the calendar and have a conversation and see how we can start using your W-2 job to power your dreams and make sure that someday when you get a 100K check, if you don't love your job anymore, you can eventually retire. Now, it's not going to happen overnight, guys. This isn't a quick rich scheme. If that's what you're looking for, you're not going to get rich quickly in real estate, unfortunately. But over time, the real estate is a very powerful tool to be able to buy the tools or the fun things you enjoy, whatever that is for you. For me, it's cars. I love cars. My ultimate dream garage is over 100 cars. That's what I want to get to. For you, it could be vacations, it could be other houses, it could be jewelry, whatever that thing is for you. I want to help you achieve it. Shoot me a DM and let's get you on my calendar. I look forward to catching up with you guys on the next one. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Properties to Profit podcast. I hope you found today's episode valuable. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and share it with others who might benefit. Follow me on social media for more updates and tips. Until next time, keep turning properties into profits.